Welcome to our series on taking the stress out of habit change.
We're two health professionals hooked on habit change with a mindfulness twist.
Dr. Jan, I have so enjoyed learning from you and working with you. You have such a practical approach as a psychologist working with executives and professionals because you blend it with your expertise in mindfulness and your corporate business background with psychology that just makes it this really user-friendly approach to changing behaviors.
And Janet, I love your radical approach to exercise and how you're drawing on your background as a clinical exercise physiologist and a certified health coach with this blending of movement science, motivation science, and mindfulness. And it's just perfect for people who are experiencing pain, fatigue, just low motivation in general.
So we met on LinkedIn in 2020, and we quickly discovered there's this synergy between our areas of expertise and passions. So we decided to join forces.
And we're so excited to share the fruits of this collaboration, of how to take the stress out of habit change and make it stick.
So, Jan, your story is so interesting. I'm wondering, would you mind just sharing what made you reach out to me in the first place?
Yeah, it was truly a dilemma I was in because I'm a lifelong exerciser. I've always enjoyed exercise, and I've been fortunate, I think, in that I've been interested in a wide variety of types of exercise. So
Yeah,
if I start to kind of get ready to move into something new or different, I would tend to find it.
yeah.
So, it wasn't like I was a runner and I, hurt my knee and now you can't run
Mhm.
and now you don't want to exercise anymore because it's the only thing you like. I always
Yeah,
found something to like. Um,
yeah.
so, yes. So my reaching out to you was I had gotten to a point where I was still exercising at my, current level, but I was having to back off because I was in more and more pain. And the odd part about it was it wasn't that I was being stupid, and like pushing through pain as I was exercising, but afterwards I was having a lot of pain. So I ended up in physical therapy and I just finally had to stop almost everything I was doing and go back down to ground level and have
Mhm.
rethink everything and start
Yeah,
building back up. But it was
yeah.
really odd. And that story I told you about, kind of the turning point for me when I've got to do something different, is I had to take the stairs to get to my exercise class. And every step was painful. And the day when it occurred to me, should I be taking the elevator to get up here to my exercise class? And thinking, there's something wrong here. This,
That
this,
light bulb moment. Yeah, there's
yeah,
something
something,
wrong. Yeah,
yeah. But it was really tricky though, because
yeah,
it wasn't while I was exercising, it was later. But the
yeah,
interesting part was once I stopped,
yeah,
all I was doing was some physical therapy,
yeah,
then I wasn't in pain. So it
yeah,
was pretty clear
yeah. So it took
that
a
what I
while
was
to
doing
figure.
was causing the pain.
Yeah,
And, um,
yeah.
and just, and then those things follow right in line of low motivation,
Mhm.
um, fatigue,
Yeah,
and you throw in the pandemic into the
right.
mix. And it was, so anyway, that's really what prompted me to reach out to you.
Right. It was really this perfect storm of these symptoms you were having, meeting with this lifelong exerciser, identity and real confidence with your exercise ability and wide range of things. And then, but confronted with what your body's trying to tell you. And that wake up moment when your brain said, why don't you take the elevator? Yeah, it was like a perfect storm. And then the pandemic and seeing PT and all of that kind of came together for you.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and in the end, it really turned out to be a gift in the end.
Yes, it has been
Yeah.
such a gift. This, as I like to call it, this radical approach you have to exercise and how it challenged so many of my mindsets.
Yeah.
It was mind bending and mind blowing, and it's been wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you did reach out because it's been enriching for me, and I've learned so much from you, which is why we're here doing these talks. And um, as you know, there's three mindsets that I've identified that I find are the main things that get in the way. And that first one is that future focus, that kind of I got to get to a goal mindset. Can you tell me more about how that mindset played a role in getting you there and what you noticed as we went through this process?
A big mental shift for me was it has to feel good in the moment while I'm doing it. And it's not like I said, I've, known for a long time to not push through pain or, uh, but what I found as I was examining this a little more closely, more deeply,
Yeah. Yeah.
is, there was a future focus to that it wasn't, many people say that I had a hard time getting myself to go to the gym, but then when I left, I was glad I came.
Yeah.
Uh, that is just a common mindset. Of course, you don't wanna
Right.
go, you don't enjoy it, it's like, "So, you'll feel
Yeah.
better later, and so just keep doing it." So,
Yeah.
that was the mindset that was changing for me, just
Mm,
this thought that, "No, you should be enjoying this as you're doing it.
yeah.
It should be feeling good." Does
It
that answer the question, though?
it does, and I think it highlights how it's such a subtle and commonly um, accepted mindset that yeah, you're not going to like to exercise. It's exercise. It's work. It's a workout, and but you got to do it to get results. You got to just do it, push through it, and for those future results. And oftentimes those future results are fear based. Like I don't want to gain weight. I don't want to be unhealthy. I don't want to get diabetes. It's all very fear based motivation too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and so. Um, yeah, is there anything else you would add about how that shift happened to you from this kind of future focus to feeling better now? Like how did you get from there to there?
Well, again, one of the radical things that happened, again, as we're talking, I'm thinking a lot of this is like rule breaking. There are
Mhm.
I love your word subtle, or
Yes.
these just you don't question it
Yeah.
mindsets. And I was starting to break rules.
Mm.
So one of the big rules I broke was, I was always oriented to do a certain number of reps.
Yeah.
So even as I was
Yeah.
starting to build back and finding
Yeah.
things to do, it's like, well, you need to, it was a pusher thing. It's like, no,
Mhm.
you need to do 15 of these. And instead, when you go into your body and you're just with your body doing it,
Yeah.
what started happening is I was stopping when my body was ready versus my mind pushing me. But
Yes.
then there was kind of an inner critic attack there, especially the first time I ever did that, because
Yeah.
it's like, I'm just gonna stop now. And it
Right.
and that's when my inner pusher went nuts.
Yes. And
And
that inner pusher.
it's like,
Go ahead.
"What? What are you doing? You don't do that." You know? You're supposed to push those last
Yeah.
few reps. It's
Yeah.
like, "What is wrong with her?" And
Right.
so it was this really, again, mind bending, like, nope, you know what? I'm fatigued. I'm going to stop
Mhm.
now.
Yeah.
And I'll add in one other little element to that too is I was not necessarily doing the same thing. Well, you did 10 on this side, you need to do 10 on this side. And it's like, well, why don't we just challenge that rule? Just investigate and see and just do as many. And it became and it's becoming less about counting reps than it's just inhale and exhale or
Yeah.
relax or and
Yeah.
then squeeze release, and it's more based on that, and your body kind of knows when it's ready to stop.
You really started trusting your
Who would have
body.
thought?
Yeah, who would have thought, right? Your body's pretty smart. Who would have known
What
it?
does your body know
Yeah,
about this?
exactly. Right. I know. And that leads perfectly into that second mindset, which is motivate me. And this is what I learned from you is that committee member mind, that approach to that inner pusher and these different parts of us, these different voices that say, I don't want to go to the gym. I want to be lazy. No, you have to go to the gym, and all these different voices in our head that we often will use for self-criticism. Oh, I'm so lazy. You know, we kind of put ourselves down for those things, but you brought this language to all of those voices in this committee member, way of talking about it. And I love that. And that really has helped me with other clients as well. But it goes to the second mindset of like, I need you to motivate me. I need someone to motivate me. And that includes that inner pusher side of us, right? Oh, I just
Right.
have to get myself to do it. I have to make myself do it. That I need that side of me. That's that inner pusher. Um, which I think leads to that all or nothing, right? Sometimes the inner pusher is really loud. Sometimes the inner pusher is exhausted and can't push you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and you were going to classes and like you said, weren't pushing through, but kind of you had mentioned before, always feeling like I have to go to the gym. I have to kind of be in that environment to exercise. I won't do it at home if I'm at home.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
could you
always
talk more about that? Yeah.
it's always been a common mindset that that's why we, have classes or you have a
Hmm.
teacher or something because otherwise you wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
You have to have external motivation. So I would say that's probably the biggest value, and this is going into a psychological,
Yeah.
value
Hmm.
of what I have gained from your program. Of that, it's of because there is this fear if
Yeah.
somebody's not pushing you to do it or making you do it or
Yeah.
making it easy and convenient somehow that you just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Uh, I now know that to not be true.
Yeah.
So it's very empowering. It feels
Yes.
really good. And I
Really
feel
empowering.
like I have to go somewhere and have somebody help me. And it's not necessarily sometimes help me or push me or whatever. And I don't
Mhm.
mean to say that it's wrong to go to
Yeah.
a gym or have an exercise tribe or a teacher, but it's more about where the motivation is coming from. And here's where it played out for me is I guess to me, exercise was something that you drove somewhere to a
Mhm.
place and you that's where you did it.
Uh-huh.
And so here were all these opportunities all around me
Yeah.
to be here. My practice is in my home. So
Mhm.
there are all kinds of opportunities to work movement into my day. But when you think of it as that doesn't happen here.
Mhm. Yeah. Right. Right.
So that, like I said, I think that's probably been the biggest benefit that I've gained of starting to have this really enlarged view of
Mhm.
activity. And in some ways, the pandemic helped a little bit
Mhm.
because I just I just started to work exercise activity into my day
Yeah.
in ways I would discounted or dismissed, whether it's doing some push-ups at my countertop while I'm making
Yeah.
my coffee
Mhm.
or realizing it's really nice out, you could get a walk in,
Yeah.
and not walking to walk, to exercise, to just get outside, take a mental break, get refreshed and
Yeah.
recharged for
Yeah.
my next client or my next
Right.
activity.
Yeah. Which
That's
is
huge.
which is exercise, as you know, like this is the name of my program is exercising well because exercise means to practice. So exercising means it's an ongoing thing and practicing being well now. And to
Yeah,
me, that's exercise. That's what it's supposed to be is shifting your cells to be well now. And you do that when you take that nice walk before a client. You probably show up for a client much more present and
yes,
whole. Yeah.
yes, yes, and if I
Yeah.
can say one other thing about that too,
Yeah.
uh, it's kinda like based on this small moments many times,
Hmm.
approach
Yes.
that's in the mindfulness world that you and I are involved in,
Yeah.
and it basically made exercise a way to keep myself well, let me back up. Ordinarily, it would be in its worst form, my body will start hurting and let me know, "You need to do something."
Mm.
So there's that part of it. Um, but being able to listen to that and be more responsive at small moments, small bouts all during the day, as opposed to like, "Oh, I'm just collapse," or
Yeah.
"I'm really hurting." In other words, you can pace this out and intersperse it through your day to where you're pretty much it's energy management. You're
Hmm.
keeping your energy up, you're resting as you need
Yes.
to. It's more of this even keel
Yeah.
versus these extremes. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
I love that way that you're saying that, that energy balance. And because who doesn't want more energy? And that's
Yes.
usually one of the biggest barriers to motivation is fatigue, just feeling tired, whether it's mental fatigue from stress, which is physical, or
Yeah.
physical fatigue from over exercising or under exercising. And um, what I, just kind of taking those two mindsets that you just talked about and how you blended them together with mindfulness and that awareness um, was so empowering because you learn to trust your body by listening to what it needed now rather than pushing to the future. And you learn to trust your inner motive that you will do it. You will take care of yourself, in fact. And I
Yeah.
love how you said that those two things are so empowering. And I know as a psychologist, you can see how people are disempowered. Like if someone had a relationship where someone was saying, "Oh, you have to do this," I'm going to push you, I'm going to motivate, and it was not autonomous. It was not, uh, listening. It wasn't based on
Mhm.
listening and trusting, right? That relationship wouldn't be very solid. And yet, exercise can deteriorate that relationship with ourselves and deteriorate trust in ourselves and our bodies. And you've restored that relationship with your body by using your skill of mindfulness to be present, to listen to your body, give it what it needs now, and trust that you will be motivated because you want to take care of yourself. And that is allow this kind of even keeled using movement to keep you energized to do what you enjoy.
Yes, that's a really good point, though. That again, and certainly during the pandemic, there is this kind of, you know, stopping of activity, or nobody's pushing you. You can't get there in the first place to even do it. Um, but through that, I did find that I could trust myself, that I would want to do that, and that I would do it.
Mhm.
Uh, so that is such a mindset shift, or
It's
that
huge.
ability to trust myself.
Yes.
You will do it, and you won't have to
Yeah.
make yourself do it.
Mhm.
You'll
Yes.
just do it. Is
Yeah.
that incredible?
It's incredible and it has ripple effect into other parts of well-being, right? If you can trust yourself in the same way, if you're not the way I see it, exercise deteriorates trust in ourselves, and that has ripple effect into the way we eat, our relationships, our vocation, every other part of our well-being. If we are we're disconnected from our body and not trusting what it's telling us now, how can we then have well-being in other places? Our body carries three parts of our well-being. It carries our physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being.
Yeah,
So yeah,
and this also kind of segues into the more is better
yeah,
concept, that
yes,
subtle concepts that's
yes,
operating. So again, a huge, paradigm shift for me was this attitude that if you're not doing, oh, good grief, at least 45 minutes, an
mhm,
hour exercise, or, a class, a typical class
mhm,
or workout, then it's just not worth it. It's not doing you any good.
yeah.
And I've just completely blown that myth that,
What loud? Yeah,
yeah. But again, part of what keeps us from exercising is that we think it takes too long.
yeah,
Well, once I started letting myself break some rules and explore some things, it's like, okay, you could do 10 minutes of something here,
yeah,
whether it's for your mobility or your
hmm,
stamina or your strength or any
yeah,
any of those. And not only will that help you with your energy management, just getting through the day, but that works.
yeah,
So all of a sudden, it becomes doable. You don't
mm,
have to drive to the gym and spend an hour there, or in your home gym. You don't
yeah,
have to get down on your mat, for 30 minutes for it to even count or be worth it. It's like
right,
this can all be fit in to your
yeah,
day.
yeah. And I like what you said before about it gave you energy, and that's the opposing mindset that doing enough to spiral up now. And these mindsets feed each other, right? If you're doing enough to spiral up now and that gives you more energy, then you're trusting your body to tell you, oh, okay, that 15-minute walk was just enough. I feel energized and calm and ready for my next event in the day. And that enough to spiral up mindset instead of the more is better mindset has that
Yes,
huge payoff that you just described. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. So what's been your takeaway? Like what's your big message? You know, you this has been such a journey for you. You know, what's your advice for people who are struggling with pain, motivation, stress, time, energy, whether they're exercisers or not?
Um, I'd say that, again, this program, maybe what would be helpful, actually, if you can just kind of lay out your program, because
Yeah.
basically that is what changed things for me. But you have this nice way of kind of describing it very concisely. Um, I think if
Yeah.
you say that, you'll do a better job than I will of,
I,
what is the
yeah.
takeaway?
Yeah. The program has really evolved over 30 years of talking to people like you who are struggling and learning about, okay, where are the sticking points? And right down to how to access it and what you need. And so it's not just an online program, it's backed up with coaching and that combination of learning on your own through the online program experience and then coming back and kind of debriefing and coaching,
Mhm.
taking that, learning, and that back and forth makes it um, personalized enough that you can learn your own self motivation. So I found that that combination really works really nicely. So it's a combination of online course and coaching. The online course is a step by step. So again, that tendency to that more is better, that tendency to do too much too soon, or that tendency for all or nothing
Mhm. Mhm.
is taken care of in this, that it's just 10-15 minutes a day. And it takes you step by step through building these really roots, kind of clearing all the weeds of these mindsets and replacing them with these mindsets that are more sustainable and these foundational mindsets and movements. I combine those mindsets with actually moving them so you embody these mindsets. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's
yeah,
something I can comment on. That again, part of the mindset shift is it's not so much about your stretching certain muscles.
yeah,
It's really more of a whole body
yeah,
of approach to wellness. And the movements are it's just more, I don't know, organic. It's more built into how we just want to function. I know something I'd like to mention. Yes. Um, I didn't realize until we started working together, and I also heard some other podcasts I thought were interesting, literally on Wharton Business Channel about exercising.
well,
But there is this mindset we have that whatever elite athletes are doing, that's what we need to be doing.
yes,
And that was another great rule to break that, no, I'm not trying to be a professional dancer or a professional athlete.
right,
I'm just a regular, ordinary person who wants to enjoy being in my body. And but do you know what I'm trying to say though? That
yes,
that somehow we should be doing these extreme things
yeah, yeah,
that those people are doing. I think in one of your podcasts, you talked about the difference between an athlete and
mhm,
maybe you can say more about that, but that was big because that's what
yes,
everybody's doing. That's what
yeah,
Business Channel was talking about. Whatever the most elite athlete of the moment is doing, pretty soon that will trickle down into
hmm,
everyone else thinking
yes.
they should do it.
Yes, yes, and it is, and I think it took me a couple of decades to realize that this is like one of those key roots that has led to all of these mindsets. Right? Future focus, like I've got to get to that goal, win that game, motivate me. I need a coach, I need someone pushing me, and more is better because for an athlete, yeah, it is. More is better. You got to beat the competition, and that's really where this came in. Whether you were an athlete in the past or not, you're influenced by this athletic mindset because marketing science knows we want to look like them. They've
Yes.
marketed that look and they've marketed as healthy. And yeah, it's all over the place. I mean, there's so many examples, but yeah, absolutely that athletic mindset. Once you see it, then you could look at any infomercial or any, top
Yes.
program and see the influences of athletics. And it's the opposite of exercising for health. And I outlined it in that four four session series because there's so many subtleties to it that when you see
Yeah.
them, you can't unsee them. It's like, oh my
Yes.
gosh, I'm trying to be an athlete and I just want to be healthy.
And now I think when you said what would my takeaway or my advice for people be,
Yeah.
this is what it would be. It's a whole lot about mindset.
Yeah.
That I
Yes.
would say, so that would sound strange to say though, but my seeking you out and how you have been so helpful to me has been mindset shift,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
yes, and because our mind is not just our brain, it's the brain body connection. That's why you have to move it. So we could talk about this all day, and people would be shaking their head. Oh yeah, that makes sense. But it
It's
won't
just,
change our mindset until you move differently and you
yeah,
experience being in your body differently. And
there've
that's
been
really it. Yeah.
there've been so many instances where I'll bring up something,
Yeah.
and it's like this is how I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know. I mean, like I said, I'm just, it's the water I've been swimming in, and we're all swimming in. So
Yeah.
it's like here's some mindset and or way of thinking about it, and you will flip that and no, actually, this is how you need to think about it. So it is literally changing the way you think about exercise.
Mm. Yeah. By the
So
way you move. Yeah. By
yeah,
changing the way you move based on movement science and brain science, not marketing science. And that's really the shift. And when you
that's a
start
great
moving
way to
this
put it.
way, yeah. And I think that that's why it's so organic, because we're just getting back to the way we're meant to move and meant to motivate. That's all it is. It's out there. It's science, right? It's your science, it's my science, it's body science, brain science. It's out there. We have the tools. It just
Yes,
hasn't been put in a way that um, goes against the typical ways of exercising. When you do, it's like this, and that's probably what people say to me the most. That makes so much sense. I get that all the time. That makes so much sense, right? And yeah, because that's how we're designed. But it's just so
yeah,
covered up by marketing science that once you see it and you experience it, it's like there's no going back. I feel so much better. Yeah,
yes. So that is my big takeaway. It has
nice,
changed the way that I think about exercise,
nice,
working with you.
nice. Yeah, and that has changed. What has that changed for you down the road beyond exercise? What's been the downstream of that for you?
Well,
Because
definitely.
exercise is different.
Well, like I said, definitely the empowerment
Yeah.
of knowing that you can trust yourself, that you can trust
Yeah.
your body, and therefore it's safe to listen to your body.
Mm, yeah.
It's not just responding, but it's like I can imagine, and again, this is still evolving because I
Yeah.
can be plenty busy and feel driven to do something, you
Yeah.
know. But that checking in with your body and just listening. Because when you don't wanna hear, when you don't wanna know, when you're
Yeah.
pushing, when your inner pusher is taken over and you are, and
Mm,
that's what most of us do. Most of my
yeah.
clients are very type A,
Mm,
very achievement-oriented, successful people. Like, it's just I can't afford to listen to my body because it's gonna want me to do something
mhm.
time consuming or that I don't want to do because I want to get this thing done. And that is a different shift. And that continues to be evolving. It's not like that just immediately resolved. I will continue to be dealing with that. But
Yeah.
it's like, so, okay,
It's
that's,
lifelong. It's like
that's
mindfulness
part
and
of the
everything else.
process.
It's lifelong. Yeah. Life is always changing. But I can't wait to dive into this with you on the mental health aspect of that ability to listen to and trust your body, and really have a deeper conversation about what that means and how that carries over into mental health and motivation and all of that from your perspective as a psychologist in our future sessions and discussions.
Oh, yeah.
I
I
can't wait
can't
for that.
wait to do that because so much of a person being able to do something different, either
Yeah.
with themselves or in a relationship, it comes
Mhm.
down to that very thing of, you sense it in your body.
Yeah. And this is
Yeah.
how we take the stress out of habit change. That's
Yes.
their absolute beginning, is changing these mindsets.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is why we're here. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to talking about that sometime.
Me too, Jan. Me too.
I can't wait for our next episode of how to take the stress out of habit change and make it stick.
So check out the links below and sign up for each of our YouTube channels, and we'll see you on the next episode.